Hey AfterBuzzers, we're back here at AfterBuzz TV with the Songland finale episode, and we have a very special guest in studio with us. Stay tuned, you're watching the Songland After Show.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
This is our opening dance segment. What's up, everybody? Hello, hello. Welcome back. We're super excited to be here celebrating the season finale of NBC's Songland Season 1. We've got some awesome stuff in store. We have a special guest in studio, which you can see sitting right next to me. And lots of exciting things to talk about. So first off, I'm going to introduce my lovely co-hosts. You've seen them here at AfterBuzz on multiple shows, including Nashville and Real Country. We've all done that panel together. First off is Miss JJ Jergens. You can also find her here on Tom Girl TV. What's up, JJ?
Hi, guys. Woohoo. Happy finale night.
And next to JJ, the beautiful Violet Kanian.
Hey, everybody.
And sitting to my left, we have our special guest, Josh Wood.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. It took us a couple episodes to get you on because you were on the episode 5.
Episode 5, yeah.
So we've been in contact with you since then, but we are happy that you made it in finally.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It was a fun finale night, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, us too. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
All right. So we've got our first contestant of the day was TJ Roach and his song
JT.
Oh my God.
JT Roach.
Yeah.
I was like, did I write it?
It's just letters.
It's me. I'm
It's all
so
good.
sorry. JT Roach with Somebody to Love.
Yeah.
Maybe his song was just so good. I can't
It was.
think of anything.
Yeah, it got us all flustered.
Got me flustered. All right. I'm going to start with you, Josh, because I know that you have known him for a while.
Yeah. I met JT. I was an intern at a publishing company, and I met him on my last day when he was just being signed. And so when Songland came back about, it was like, whoa, you're here and I'm here, and it was sort of a cool, coming of the ages story where we're both sort of coming up in our own lanes. Cool guy. I hadn't heard the song that he did, and so it was really exciting to watch him perform the song, and I thought it was a smash right out of the gate. I mean, I completely agreed with the judges on that one. I thought that it was a really, really strong song, and I'm excited to see how Shane took it and made it even better. Obviously, I worked with Shane on my episode, and the great thing about Shane is that he comes in and he finds the sweet spot with every lyric, and he's also really good at seeing where any weak spots might be and patching them up. So this song is super strong as a whole, and I'm really excited that he did that with JT's song, which was already so great to begin with, because obviously it turned out really well for them. They got the cut at the end of the day. So yeah, I thought it was a really, really great progression from start to finish.
It's neat to hear your perspective, especially with working with Shane, and we're going to get into all that later. What did you girls think about it?
Yeah, loved it. Somebody to Love, I loved it. I just thought it was, lyrics were beautiful. I love his voice. And I thought it was completely solid.
Yeah, and he seemed so nice too.
Yeah.
He's very humble and respectful. I liked that in this episode they all kind of mentioned their side hustles a little bit. Like I always think that's interesting to find out what everyone has a side hustle and then the thing they're actually trying to do to make money at. Right. And it's just good to remind people that everyone is always working on their dreams and also working on something else to get to their dream.
With this one too, I also liked that. I thought his lyrics were something that everybody can relate to. I think everybody's kind of had that ex or had that moment. It was a very universal song, which I think is good for him.
Yes. All right, moving on. Our next contestant, Madi, with her original song "Darkest Days." My first thoughts on this were I loved her voice. It was like, to me, I kind of thought it was a little smoky. That's how I would describe it.
Definitely.
But I love how they can just change up the vibe of a song with different instruments, and it'll sound totally
different. That's my favorite part. Like when they're just sitting there and they start playing like Esther's on her little machine and they grab the guitar. I'm just like, oh my God, this is This is just magic happening in front of our eyes. I love it.
Yeah, it's like, wow, these people are music gods.
Seriously.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how a song can come in and transform immediately. And Madi is so sweet. I met her at a Hotel Cafe show that we did a couple months ago, and she's definitely one of the most dynamic contestants I've ever seen. And so I was excited to watch her episode and you know, for her to deliver a song and then completely 180 it into a dance record. I think that was really special, especially for the viewers to witness that, you know, songs really can go from, you know, one thing and take a complete transformation into something totally different. And I think it was also interesting. It was almost like a wild card, a gamble for Esther and Madi to choose that direction, because, you know, ultimately it's you're trying to get the cut with the artist, and so that was their choice to try to give it the strongest bet to get that cut. And I think that she did a killer job. Like, she's got such a sweet energy and an amazing personality. And so I think she really, really killed it, especially with the way the song came out in the end.
I love the concept of the song, but I wasn't crazy about the original. I was like, okay, she has a really, really pretty voice. Love her voice. But I was like, okay, I'm cool with it. But then we'll talk about later, when they change it, I was like, holy crap.
Right.
So yeah.
I agree with you. I had a side note that I loved her voice. I put that down too, and then I wanted a little more.
Yeah.
And that's got to be hard too as an artist. Like you said, obviously you want to do what you can to get the cut and make, you know, the artist that you're making it for happy. But as a songwriter, like, to take a song and then be like, we're gonna make this a dance record, like, there has to be a little part of you that's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it depends. I think certain songs you are very precious with because they're very, very personal. I know songs I've written in the past, it's like, you can do whatever you want with this song. Like, you know, I've learned over the several years of being a songwriter is that, you know, at a certain point, it's not yours anymore. And at a certain point, it's like, oh, if somebody hears the potential out of this, then run with it, go change it. Some songs you really do want to keep, but I'm, you know, watching Madi put Darkest Days up for Songland and with Esther, I think that it was definitely one of those where she was like, let's make this fit to OneRepublic. And so I'm really pleased to see that she was like so willing and so excited to go that direction with it. I thought that was really cool. And it shows a lot of like what actually happens in the industry sometimes is that things can really take a 180 turn. So it's nice for the viewers too to get that perspective. Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. All right. Our next contestant was Tyler, and his song was called Giving You Up. And his side hustle was patching driveways.
Yeah, I love that so much.
So real.
Real. Like,
but that's good. He said he was making 70% off his music, so you know,
Yeah,
like,
that's
he's
good.
getting there. And I love watching people's like life progressions into what they want to be doing. So for me, the things that came up with his song was, I loved his voice. I loved watching him as like a singer. Like I would watch him perform on stage, and it's funny because a lot of the times when I watch the people perform, some of them, like, you see them and you're like, wow, but they have such a good voice, like they could pursue being like an artist versus being a songwriter. And he actually said, you know, that they mentioned that he had a good voice, but his point of view was like, but this is a songwriting competition, you know. So I kind of felt like he felt the other way, and you can probably give us a lot of insight on that. But like,
Yeah, sure.
you know, pursuing being an artist versus pursuing being a songwriter. Tell us some more.
No, totally. I mean, it's one of these things that I think everybody wants to be an artist in a way. And sometimes being a songwriter is being an artist. You know what I mean? Like, the art is the creation of songs for other people to sing, and sometimes it's the creation of a song for you to sing. And I definitely feel like with Tyler bringing his song to the table, he did bring a lot of himself to that performance. And I think that maybe read with the panel and with Ryan especially, just the way that he sang it and the notes that he put into it, and that extremely like crazy high note that like who can hit that except Tyler. That's a sort of example where it's like you've now presented a song that's so personalized that maybe that really is the path for that song, you know, because songs can end up in so many hundreds of different scenarios and places and artists or TV shows or movies or whatever. And so I know that Tyler put that song out, and it's got some really awesome cover art that I saw on Spotify just now. And I'm super excited to listen to it because it seems like the type of song that can give him that platform to really, break out in his own artistry, which is, as a side note, something that I think is really incredible about the show Songland as a whole is that, there's really no losers that come out of this.
Yeah.
It's a competition, yes, but it's also just a display of art, and art can take so many forms, and, it might be Tyler's path right now that this gave him the launching pad to, be his own artist even more. And so I like the song, and I can see why, OneRepublic let him put it out himself and didn't pursue it with the other producers. But yeah, I think that's why the show is so cool. Yeah.
What did you guys think about the song?
I enjoyed the song. I wrote down that I liked the vibe of it. So I liked where it was going. I liked what he was doing with it. But I couldn't see OneRepublic doing it. All of them, I feel like I could see. I was like, yes, there's a OneRepublic song. But this one, I was like,
Yeah, and we've seen throughout the season other artists that have kind of done similar things. Like, this song is so personal to you, and I can tell that, so I'm gonna let you take it. And our last episode too, the girl had put out that song that we were like, we've heard this on the radio, that they don't have a pill for this song. And in some way, like you said, there's no losers, so like sometimes I feel like that's a blessing in disguise. They're like, here, take this song and you release it, and like this is going to be great for you. So, and
like we've talked about before, there hasn't been a bad one in the bunch. There's never been a song where we're like, what were they thinking, or whether that's why I do love the show too, that it's been such a positive, uplifting song, and like a show and motivational show, because it does show, even if you're not picked, something else is out there for you.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, our last contestant was Brigitta with Be Somebody, and she was like a little firecracker.
So cute.
Stuff. Also, she's from Florida, so I gotta give a shout out to Florida girl out there. But yeah, what did you guys think of the song?
I'm obsessed. I love it. I love her. I love the song. That like small tweak they made.
Oh yeah.
At the moment, the Be Somebody to Be Your Somebody, I was like, whoa. Because I felt something too when she was singing it. Because I was like, I felt the whole be famous thing. I don't know. I don't think that's what she was saying. She was trying to say, but that's how it was coming across. So when they changed it, I was like, yes.
Yeah, it took it to a whole other level of meaning and deeper, and give the song more punch.
I completely agree. I think that the song that was originally presented, and the other thing too that we really have to like talk about is there is editing involved in this, and like just having been there and knowing that they actually spend like 25 to 30 minutes like going in on that first original presentation of the song, they definitely pinpoint the parts that are going to allow it to progress. You know what I mean? And so I think what we saw tonight is a baseline that allowed them to come in and Esther to make that strong suggestion of be your somebody rather than be somebody, and that did allow it to take a completely new turn. But what I loved about her presentation is that she's so bubbly and she has such a fiery personality that when they decided to basically switch the concept entirely, she was so for it. She was like ready to roll. She was like in love with the process, and wasn't too precious about like her original song. And I think that that's really important to see, that being malleable and being open to change is a lot of times the key to success in the industry, into making it into having cuts with artists and being a successful songwriter. So I was really happy to see her have that opportunity to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and she was really cute when she got in the studio with Jason. She was very this is so awesome. He's gonna do my song. Like, I'm so excited. This is gonna be great. And just like you could tell when she was interacting with him, she's like, do you want me to sing it like this, or should I sing it like that? Like, so that is good.
I love that part too.
Yeah. So let's just go into the second round, and we'll just start with her. So when she was in the studio with Jason, they were going after a darker, moodier version. That was their goal with that. So
I gotta be honest, I did not hear the song for OneRepublic until Jason stepped in and like reproduced it and put in those huge drums and those like big anthem style beats and like reverbs and production. And also another note on editing is that this is a short show. It's 43 minutes without the commercials, but like when I was in the studio with Shane, I was in there for 6.5 hours, and then I went the next day and worked for 4 more hours.
Wow.
So it's 10 hours just of rewriting and production, and that doesn't even include like the mixing process, the fine-tuning, the refinement, then the mastering, and then it's released. And so I know for a fact that like Jason is a super passionate producer, and he really, really cares about his product. So even the small amount of footage that they showed of Brigitta and Jason in his home studio, like I know how many like they probably stayed up all night finishing that song. And what's really great is that the original version versus the final version, there's a transformation that is so it recognizes how much work that I know they put in. So I loved it. I thought that like it was between that one and JT's for me in the end. So I really thought that might have taken it, actually.
I did too. Oh my God, the song that the finished song, the finished song was so good. It was the catchiest, I think, from them, all of them. So I was a little surprised, because usually I think we've noticed they choose the catchiest song because that's what makes a hit, right? But I really loved it. And I could hear it on the radio right now. I feel like it is on the radio. Totally. I'm not going to say that again like I did last week, because I Googled the crap out of that and I didn't find it. But yeah, I could hear it.
Totally.
Yeah. Ditto what you guys all said. Yeah.
Cool. All in agreement then.
Yep.
All right. We have Madi in the studio with Esther making a dance record. And I thought they nailed it. I mean, when she performed the second time, I was like, okay, I can totally see myself at like a festival in the crowd with hundreds of people around me, just like feeling a song. And I love what they brought out about the happy sad. Because I feel like that's something that people, like in a weird way, they like to feel like that.
Yes.
You know?
Totally. There's that tension. There's that tension between the emotions, that sort of that middle space that we all live in, that we're all like battling. And I think that's a really good note from Ryan. And I think that Esther and Madi totally nailed that tension, having like a big upbeat rhythm to the music, and then having this melody and this top line that was a little bit more somber and introspective, and I love that song, and I can see why it maybe was not like ultimately the right fit for OneRepublic, but I can hear it on so many different artists, you know.
Yeah, I think definitely that song should come out somewhere.
Yes.
If it hasn't, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's in the works right now.
Yeah, I think that Madi is putting it out like,
on her own.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Good for her.
I love when the artists do
Yeah.
that. I love that. It's like, why waste an incredible song? Put it out and
let the world enjoy it.
Exactly.
We all have such a great playlist now after the season 2 of all the songs that were produced, and then the ones that the people are putting out individually.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Oh my God, this song, when they changed it, I was like, heck yes.
Yeah.
It was just perfect. And I could picture myself just like dancing and just like not giving a crap. Just like, oh, I love it so much. I'm going to play it all night.
And then being like, I'm so sad, but there's light. There's hope.
Exactly.
It's going to be a good day. Yeah, okay, which brings us to our winners. We've got JT and in the studio with Shane, and I think that's really cool that, like we said, you guys knew each other and you both worked with Shane, so that's awesome that you can give us insight on that. But I would say like Shane is kind of, we have a soft spot towards him because we're all huge country music fans, so we know a lot of his country music work, and it's true, like, you know, when they sat down and he was like, what's the real story? And then when they performed the song, I mean, that was like heartbreaking good, so good.
He is so good at the lyrics and just getting to the heart and what was going to resonate with people and make people really feel and make you think. And and I'll never get sick of it. I say it every time, but I just love watching him watch his people too. Yeah. Just the look in his eyes. He's in love with all of them, and he's just like almost tearing up, and it's just so beautiful. I love it.
Did you get to experience that? Did he look at you like that?
You know, my song was a little bit more upbeat.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? There was a little bit more of a sassiness to my song, but like I definitely experienced that realness with Shane.
Yeah.
Like he really actually cares, and he's not gonna let anybody leave the room unless it's not 99%, but it's 100%. And I think that it was a knockout, standout success with his collaboration with JT this week, because it was a perfect opportunity to, you know, make every single lyric in the song count, and not only that, bring it to a real place from JT's experience that's going to resonate with OneRepublic and, you know, the whole world. And he was able to get some more backstory out of JT, which ultimately, if you're going to be a songwriter, that's what a good songwriter does. Is a good songwriter sits with the artist or sits with the story and says, well, what's more detail, like, you know, kind of like pulling a little bit more out just so they can really live in that space of authenticity and find like the deepest meaning that's really gonna like cut to the heart, as like Shane said on some of those lyrics. So I mean, I definitely experienced that firsthand with Shane, and I'm so super happy to see that, you know, he knocked it out of the park with JT on this one.
Is songwriting like a therapy session?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, sometimes it can be very frustrating because you know, a lot of times, you know, especially when you're writing a more emotional song, like that's why country music's so awesome for that, is because you know when it's like good but not great, and so getting from good to great is sometimes such a long, grueling process. But then once you get it, there's sort of this like breakthrough, this release that just, I mean, you're so happy that you finally like locked in the truth of the story. And I think that can be therapeutic because you like sit with yourself and you like challenge yourself to make it as good as possible. And then, you know, if you strike a chord of truth, you're just like so happy that that's now out there living in the world. And I think that's the part that's therapeutic for me. The process of getting there sometimes is like banging your head against a wall, but you know, that's how it is.
Okay, well, so that was our winner. We love the song. Do we have a snippet of that song? Sorry, I know I'm kind of catching you off guard here, Ryan. But
just give me the title one more time.
Somebody to Love.
Somebody to Love.
Pull it up right away. Just give me 1 sec.
Cool.
And I love that he played it at Red Rocks Amphitheater. Have you guys
that
been
was
there
so
yet?
cool. No.
It's on my list.
I've been
Colorado.
there, not during a show,
there.
but I've been there.
That's me. I saw it in the snow. My mom and I drove up, but concert. Gotta be to get there sometime.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, here we go. This is it right here.
Yeah, just get a little.
Somebody to love. Tell me how can I go on without somebody to love? Somebody to love. Somebody to love.
You could also see this as like the next great karaoke song.
Yeah.
People try to do.
Okay.
I mean, I might try it in my car on my way home.
100%.
You never know.
So I totally lied when I said the other song was the most catchiest, because this is so catchy.
Yeah.
This is really good. Yeah, it's really perfect for Ryan, and I'm glad that you know the last couple songs that OneRepublic has put out has been very pop, and this feels almost like a return to form in the way that it's like big rock anthem that allows Ryan Tedder to sing those giant notes. So I'm super excited to see just as a hit what this does and how it charts and how it goes off. I mean, I'm probably open up iTunes. It'll probably be sitting toward number one. So I love this. I think it's just a success for like music in general beyond just the show.
It really lets him show his heart too. His just heart and passion that he has for music, and it's just incredible.
Well, I'm really overall happy. I think this was the perfect wrap up for this season. It was such a successful show. Like I mentioned to you earlier, Josh, but we've covered a couple different like music-based shows over the last year. But this one was so unique because it was focused on the songwriters. No one's ever done that before, so that is awesome. And we've got just a little bit of news. If we have our little news flash, there we go.
TV News.
All right, bye.
So exciting news came out this week. Songland is renewed for season 2. So I hope this panel gets to come back, schedules permitting. And also Sam DeRosa from last week. We knew she was a star at some point because she did get signed to Monument Records, and she did release Pill for This.
Yay!
So that song is freaking amazing. So I'm so glad she got to do that.
So now it is out. So now we're not crazy.
Now we know it's out.
Yeah, because when we heard it last week, we were like, wait, I've heard this already on the radio.
Yeah, I thought for sure she released. I'm like, I've seen her name in my car radio thing. And
you know, she released a couple songs before the Pill for This came out. So it's possible that you had heard her.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she
I'm not
released a
crazy.
couple leading up to
That's
this.
crazy.
Also, in the promos, every single promo was, "We ain't got a pill for this," and they were like, "Yes."
That's why.
So it's like by the time the song
Okay.
came out, it's
Okay.
like, "Oh, we
It's
know
already
this
in our
already."
heads.
Exactly.
Planted the
Super smart.
seed.
That has to be it.
Yeah.
You just like, yeah. I wish you were here last
Gotcha.
week. Would have saved me a lot of time.
Yeah, that does make sense. That's it. We've solved the mystery. Yeah. So we've got a little bit of time left, and we're really excited to get to our special guest interview with Josh Wood. So just a quick little roundup if you guys haven't been tuning in or following along or just need a refresher. But Josh was on the episode 5 with Meghan Trainor, and his song was called Alone. And I just want to first of all, like, get your experience about, like, first of all, question, did you know it was going to be Meghan Trainor?
Not technically. They tell you when you enter Songland for orientation and you know, you're getting the lay of the land and starting to do things like wardrobe and rehearsals. They tell you that who your artist is. I thought it was going to be either Meghan Trainor or BB Rexa, who has ended, maybe she'll do season 2, but she wasn't on this season. Just by the way that my song, like the style of it, I was like, I have a feeling this is for Meghan Trainor. So when they said that, I was like, okay, yeah, it wasn't out of the blue completely. But yeah, that was, otherwise it was, I didn't technically know.
Yeah. Can you take us through let's start from the beginning. Like, how did you find out about it? How did you audition for it? The audition process, like, just.
I don't remember how I first found out about it, but this Songland as a show has been a huge years-long process with Dave Stewart and Audrey, for the executive producer of The Voice. They've really been working on this to make it right, because when you're dealing with something like, you know, songwriting and intellectual property, there's so many layers to make sure that everybody's taken care of and that contracts look good and it's, you know, people aren't getting taken advantage of. And so they really put the time in to make this a show that was really a win for everybody involved. And so 2 years ago, I heard about it. They were taking submissions. I submitted, I auditioned, and then I never heard anything. I thought, maybe I didn't work out for me or whatever. Just a year ago or so, a associate casting producer who's a songwriter, a co-writer of mine, reached out to me because I was referred and said, hey, we're doing this, we're just going back up, let's get you back in. And so I submitted some songs, and in the process of first submitting and my final submission, I had actually written Alone with some co-writers. And so they were like, if you have any others, just in case, send them to us. And so I sent them Alone with some others. And then after a couple weeks, they're like, okay, we really like this song now. And so that ended up being the one. It's very interesting because they have a very complex job of getting good songs from songwriters and then trying to like match them like puzzle pieces with the artists that are going to be on the show. And so behind the scenes, they collect the songs that they think are going to be the best fit for the artist. And then they tell us which song they've chosen, and then they tell us which artist it's chosen for. So it's a super complex process. But I got in and started rehearsing, and then ended up, doing my first round for Meghan Trainor. I was really, really nervous, and I was also really excited, and I got very emotional when I saw her singing my song back, because it was sort of like, a big dream of mine to have a big artist sing my words back. That was like the most validating thing that's ever happened. It's like I was seen and like I was legitimized in a big way. And immediately entering the room, it's almost like Shark Tank, you know what I mean? You're pitching your idea, you're hoping they buy it. But it was just like a bubble of warmth and love. Everybody was so positive and wanted to see me do well and wanted to see all of us win, and they were so engaged. It was surprising how they picked up on little lyrics, and they little things that I was like, oh, I'll get away with that line, it's fine. They were like, no, we're confused by this, and I was like, yeah. That's why you guys are the professionals. And so, but it was great. And then when they called me back to tell me that my song had gone through, like, I kind of felt really good about the first, initial presentation. So I was very relieved and happy when they told me they were going to take me to the studio. One thing that they don't show, and all of the episodes, they show in some, is our reaction to walking into the producer session. Because what really it was set up as is it was a surprise. They didn't tell us who we would get. So for all of the contestants the whole season, there are these great moments where it's like, oh my God, I'm with Ryan Tedder, and oh my God, it's Shane. And I did not expect to be with Shane because my song was so pop. You know, there were other songs on that episode that were leaning a little bit more songwriter, a little more country, but they put my song with Shane, and I was actually so excited because it's so not a country song. I was like, I need his lyricism, I need his heart, and I thought it was such like a perfect, almost like opposite attracts moment for what he brings and what my song was. And when we were in that producer session, it was like a vibe. I got lost. I was like, we're writing, this is totally real, we're doing this, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, well, that's our time. And I'm like, we just got going. Like, what's going on? It felt so, I mean, it didn't feel like there were cameras in the room at all. And then so we went off camera to his studio, and that's when we like really worked on it. And that was when it was like my favorite moment of the entire experience, is when I was in like a private studio. There's like a pool outside. It's just us and the producer, and we're really working on it like I do in my own sessions, except I'm working with Shane, and he's got like 38 #1 songs or something like that. So yeah, you know, went back and did the final performance, and I knew that it wasn't going to be me at the end.
Oh, why?
Based on when I did my final song, everybody was like, Josh, we love you. I'm like, no!
Like after you performed?
Yeah, I was just like, they were so sweet and it was so nice, but I was just like, I just knew. And I was so happy because like I loved my co-writer. I didn't write with them, but the other people on my episode, I mean, I was truly happy for everybody there, and like whoever it was gonna go to, I was just so happy for them. And then it ended up working out great because after we wrapped, and you know, I went through like my week of sadness for not winning. You know, they called
happy
us
sad.
My it was like, nah, it was sad. It was a mixed bag of emotion, let's just say. They called us back and said, hey, we need you to come back and like rewrite some things, and you're gonna actually record it and put it out. And I was like, oh, what?
Oh
Okay.
my God.
Cool.
So then that is now like the standard for each episode, is that the songs that don't take the win, they get put out also. And
that's
so
great.
That was like sort of the unexpected treat out of all of this, is that now I have like a presence as an artist, you know, on Apple Music and Spotify and all that, and that really allowed a lot of, you know, eyes to be drawn toward what I do as an artist. So yeah, from head to toe, that was
neat.
That is amazing.
It's a really cool experience.
It's so nice to hear that, like the way that we see it, because we feel like that. We feel like it's such an inclusive place and everyone's like on the same team.
It is.
So it's nice
It
to hear
really
that it's
is.
actually like that in real life.
It's nice
really
to
like
hear
that.
it's actually better than that.
Yeah.
The fact that you get to go off camera and Shane is still working with you, to me that's like mind-blowing, because these people are busy.
They're busy.
And from a production standpoint, the fact that you're saying they take so much time to match the right songs with the art, like that pre-production, really I think is also why this show has been such a success, because it's pretty perfect.
So authentic.
Yeah.
100%. There's a reason it looks so easy and flawless, is because there are so many like weeks worth of pre-production and planning and like things that are not filmed on camera. I wish the show was 2 hours long, because if they could show even more of the process and give even more backstory for each writer, but it's a lot, like you know, to go through 4 different songs and 4 different artists and 3 different producer sections and, you know, 7 performances at the whole thing. It's a lot of content, and so, you know, I think they found a balance that works and that is very consumable by audiences, and it's been very successful. And I mean, shoot, it was the first season. Like until it came out, nobody really knew if it was going to be great, and it's been great, and it's gotten great audience reactions. So I'm really blessed and honored to have been a part of it.
Yeah, well, we're glad to get you. And since we do have you here and we have extra time here, I would love to get into a little bit of your backstory.
Totally, yeah.
Personally, so I know you went to college for music, and then right after that you moved to Hollywood. So
I did, yeah.
What was your like mindset and your trajectory like when you graduated college and you were like, I'm gonna make it in the music business, I'm gonna go to Hollywood and do this, this, and this? Like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, ever since I was 3 years old, I knew that it was music. Like, it's really just been, I don't have an addictive personality for other things, but I guess with music, it is like the only option. And I think that's something that resonates with a lot of artists and songwriters, because it's such a crazy industry. There's no guarantees. There's no blueprint for how to do it. I think it's really the personality types that are like, I have to. This is the only thing that stick around and end up going, rolling with the waves. And but yeah, I went to school, and the whole time in school, I knew I wanted to be a pop star. And all 4 years, I was like, okay, yeah, but like, I was just like not at 18 years old ready to like go and live in Hollywood by myself. Oh yeah, I like this song. That's what's up. Here we are. That's me performing at LA Pride. We made a music video out of it. So it was fun.
This is your song.
This is my song. This is my song called Vibrate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was this before or after you're on the show?
This was after I was on the show.
Okay.
This was at this year's LA Pride, just
Exactly.
recently.
Yeah. So this was great. This was the second song I wrote in Nashville. But I graduated school and I was like, all right, I'm 21 years old. It's now or never. And so I just was like, I'm going to Hollywood. I got a job at Starbucks. I was like, I don't know anybody, nobody. I knew one vocal teacher that taught at my school who also taught me in Hollywood. That was it. I've randomly just met everybody along the way by telling everybody I'm a songwriter and that I do music, and it's been a journey. And I definitely, sometimes I'm like, well, why didn't I hit success when I was 21 or 22 years old? And there's a certain element of finding humility and saying like, okay, well, there was a lot to learn. And I didn't grow up in LA, and I didn't really know any songwriters. I'd never been into a studio session until I was like 23 years old. And so to be here still doing it, I just feel really happy that I've been able to find my little clicks and find my voice in all of this. And I think Songland was a huge step in my confidence, because I'm like, okay, we always second guess ourselves, but then I get this opportunity to be validated by people like Shane and Ryan and Esther and Megan Trainor, and it's like, all right, I'm on a path and it seems to be the right one, so I'm just gonna keep going for it. So
how did you get from Starbucks into your first studio session?
How did I worked at Starbucks. One of the customers was like, you should be doing commercials, and I said okay. And so he put me up with an agency, and I started going out on auditions, and then I started working at the Apple store selling iPhones, and we went out for someone's karaoke night birthday, at which point somebody there was like, you should be in a boy band. And so he was starting this boy band project, and then through that boy band project I started going into studios and meeting producers, and one of my coworkers at Apple is a really great producer, so we started writing together, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. When I was younger, after Apple and some other projects, I said, okay, I need to meet people in the industry. I gotta wedge my foot in the door somehow. And I was like, I have a college degree, I've interned places, I'm gonna go that route. So I started interning at 2 major publishers. And so after my internship ended, I was just not asking for anything. I was very shy, fly on the wall. That's where I actually first met Jason Evigan, who was the guest on tonight's episode. He was producing for, I think it was a Rihanna writing camp, and I was just there, and this is a funny actually story if you guys want to hear it. I was the intern, and Jason gave me his debit card and PIN to go get cash so I could get him and Bonnie McKee, another songwriter, burritos. And so I was like, great, I'm getting Jason Evigan burritos, I've made it. And so I got them burritos, and then an hour went by, and I see him pacing back and forth, and then an A&R says, Jason really needs to talk to you. And I said, okay, whatever. And I go into the courtyard, and Jason is like, dude, what the hell? I have $500 missing out of my account. What happened? And I was like, what do you mean? I just got the $20 out of the ATM. And he was going with it, and then he's like, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
He totally pranked me.
Oh my God.
Totally pranked me.
That's ruin your
And
life.
I went white as a ghost. I was dead. I was like, Okay, I've been pranked by Jason. I've really made it. But like I was very shy, never asked for anything. I showed them some of my music, but I didn't want to be that guy that was using people. And I think that it's been a journey, just like knowing my personality, to find that balance of like, you know, being strong with my craft, but also telling people like, this is what I do, but not overstepping it by saying like, I need you and I'm using you. But after my internships, they hooked me up with like one manager who hooked me up with his artist, who had a roommate who was a writer, who knew another writer. And that's when it really started to like build itself into like a network that I could call my own. And that ultimately has led to everything I've done so far. And through lots of series of people and events, how I ended up on Songland.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's like a true Hollywood story.
Right. Yeah. And everybody's story is just as colorful and in like its own way. And I think it's magical knowing this community of artists and writers that have all have a completely different way of getting to where they get to.
I love those moments. Like, you should do commercials. Okay, like crazy. You never really know where things are gonna pop out.
Totally.
From, like karaoke.
Just saying yes to things.
It's just say yes. Kind of thing.
Okay, I hate this. I want to talk to you all night. We have to wrap up soon, but do you guys have any like last minute questions quickly?
What's next for you?
Yeah. What do you have coming up?
Yeah, so a couple projects in the works. I'm definitely still songwriting. Like that's the goal, and like still songwriting. It's like, well, you've caught me very much in my like prime of going for songwriting. So definitely gonna keep writing every day and like keep expanding the people I write with. And you know, the goal is to be like Shane one day, is to be a big songwriter with lots of hits and his own publishing company and his own record label. I also manage an artist that has been a really wonderful project for me. Her name is Katie Turner. She was a finalist on American Idol 2 years ago. And so we have several songs out that we've written together, and a couple new ones that we've written together that are going to be coming out. And then what else am I doing? I put out a small EP this year, which has been really exciting. And I have a couple of DJ features coming up. And so it's been fun because Songland has unexpectedly given me sort of a launching pad to do more artist things. I've performed like 4 or 5 shows in LA in the last 4 months, which is before this I hadn't performed in like 3 years.
Wow.
So we wanted to come to the Songland thing at the Hotel Cafe, but we were
you guys have to keep us posted when you have another one.
Yeah, we will.
We'll get there.
I feel like they're doing it every couple months.
Okay. Right.
But that's a great way to meet people and just stay involved with the community. So yeah, songwriting, you know, getting Katie to the top, getting like my songs placed and my voice out there. Yeah, it's a never-ending journey. So just continuing on the road.
Well, we can't wait to watch it.
Thank you.
Skyrocket.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking the time and hanging out with us tonight and sharing your story. Like we love having guests in studio.
This is great. Appreciate you having me here. Of course. Thank you.
All right, so before we go, we want to let everybody know, where can they follow you and keep up with you at? Like
totally.
Instagram or?
Yeah, my Instagram and Twitter is at It's Josh Wood, ITSJOSHWOOD. You know, find my Instagram, and I'm pretty responsive with Twitter. You can tweet me, but I missed the Twitter vote, so like good luck. And Facebook, Josh Wood LA, just Josh Wood, I should come up. And listen to my music on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Josh Wood. And of course, watch the episode of Songland I was on, Meghan Trainor, episode 5. Hit it on Hulu or whatever.
All right, and ladies, where can we find you guys at?
You go.
You can find me on Instagram at Violet Kanian.
And I'm on Instagram at jj.jergens.
And you guys can find me also on Instagram at Julana. And hopefully we will see everybody back here for Songland Season 2.
Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.